All right, so that's another year of March Madness all done. Couple of pretty underwhelming finals, but the stuff we saw over the month, obviously, including the Purdue loss, a couple of the results in the semifinals, both men's and women's, I think I've gotten more than enough satisfaction. Now, just going back to the semifinal in the men's game, now you saw San Diego obviously win with the buzzer beater. One of the guards, obviously, his name escapes me just as we're making this, but Lamont Butler, I think it was. He's able to score a buzzer beater, and the coach hasn't called a timeout. 8 seconds left, they grab the rebound, they run it up, score, win the game, celebrate, la di da di da. And I was having this sort of debate with my mates, I guess, and just wondering what you guys thought on, is it better to actually just take the timeout, let everyone strategize, or do you think what I believe, I guess, is always the best case? Action always beats reaction for me in these sort of situations. I know obviously it's not a guaranteed you always score the buzzer beater, and the way he ran down the court, I thought he was stuck. I thought it was all over. But just the fact that you're pushing the agenda, and that's something that I've always liked in any sport. If I'm pushing the agenda, if I'm the one starting the conversation, whatever it is, if I'm the aggressor, then they have to sort of follow my lead. And it's one of these things, I guess, in basketball you see a lot with the timeouts. You don't really see it in other sports. But when you have this ability to take timeouts, strategize to, I guess, another level, and you hear the coach basically saying, I was out of place, which is quite frankly ridiculous, knowing how many plays you can actually run in a basketball game, how much strategy there's been over 20, 30, 40 years, whatever you want to look at. I think there's more than enough qualified coaches to make that decision, but maybe he was just joking. But anyways, I think over the last month, I guess it's a stern reminder how unpolished the basketball is at college level, and it got me thinking, like, the way we're like sometimes criticizing these guys, Paolo Banchero, a few other guys, Wiseman, that have come into the league last few years, and obviously different scales in terms of performance between Banchero and Wiseman, but you get these criticisms of these young rookies as they enter the league, and you look at how unpolished all the players really are, few exceptions here and there, of course, when they are in college, and you think overnight, over the course of the draft and the preseason, they're just lifted to this new weight of expectation. And it's a firm reminder how easily it is for these teams to run zones because the shooting isn't as good, how hard it is to actually play in the paint because it's so clogged up with all your driving lanes basically non-existent. And it's these sort of things that lead me to ask, like, what are we looking at when we're looking at basketball at the college level, at the high school level? Because you'll see those games, it's a much different pace, it's a much different, much lower level of execution. And you look at this whole one and done culture. I've been reading a little bit about it today, and it's like, if we don't have this one and done culture, you'll see the collegiate level, I guess, have more of an influence. And you look at Caitlin Clark, who's going to have to go back for another year of women's college basketball before she makes the WNBA. And it's these sort of things that maybe can translate to the men's game, improve the college level of basketball, and in turn, hopefully, improve the level of rookies in the NBA, because I see some of the rookies in the NBA, and unfortunately, I guess we're not impressed. We're not going to get all hits, no misses. I look at what's happening in the Houston Rockets, and I think some of these guys may have done a lot better with another year of college, another year of training, another year of working a system, because you heard John Wall say himself, they're not playing real basketball. And look, I know it's not right. It happens in the media that all women's sport just gets thrown into this massive ball, and they're like, let's do 2-minute segments just on how this is going to impact all women's sports. And for me, I guess, when you look at how the women's March Madness sort of competition run, it's exciting. It's exciting because it's becoming normalized, and there's a lot of things we used to do as kids, like when everyone is young, it's like, oh, okay, the men's is better than the women's, and slowly you come to a realization that it's not really about that. It's like, as long as the level of competition is relative, as long as they're competing, as long as there's technical ability at play, I'm always going to be there. So I got no issues with it. I'm keen to see what March Madness looks like next year, and also, of course, this knockout structure. I'm excited for the play-ins. I'm excited to see, hopefully, obviously, the Lakers through to the playoffs, because you want to see LeBron there as a seventh seed, and of course, Kyrie and Luka sort of have to figure something out over there. But anyways, yes, I think that there are changes to how we need to approach sports, for the men's and women's games. And I don't know how it looks from a financial perspective, but I think the interest you'll see this year is probably as high as it's ever been. And sign of good things to come. I think if you believe in the whole sports is for everyone motto, these are just the parts of the game that were, I guess, malnourished in the past, that we're sort of fixing over time. And you see the personality that these people are having in the game, and it's not like the old days where you sort of just have to walk a fine line, you know. Obviously, David Stern isn't alive anymore, but there's room now. There's room. The culture is more embraced with these corporate opportunities to make brand deals. You know, there's more authenticity, and I think that's something that everyone can get behind.